All right. Hello, tea family. I am really late tonight and I apologize. It has been that kind of a day. I also have gloves on and I just took one off really quick so I could do a couple of things and realized, hey, it's time for the live and I missed it. I think part of it is the fact that I'm in a different time zone right now. And that is really impacting because I have to convert everything to Central Time. So I'm going to take my glasses so I can see what's going on. There we go. So much better. Okay, so my handy dandy assistant is out packing and going through a garage right now. And I'm here and we're going to do this together. So first of all, hello, welcome to family. It's been a week. It's been a good week and a half. But today we're going to be talking about something a little different. Let me pull this up. And I don't know if you know this, but today is actually my birthday. And so we're going to kind of do a birthday flight, except I don't have the tea prepared because I don't have all my stuff here with my clear cups and everything like that. So we're going to do it just a little bit different. And I am going to have to look back and forth a little bit more because, like I said, my handy dandy assistant is doing some other things. But I am super excited that you are joining me. If you're here on the replay, welcome to the replay. If you're here live, let me know in the chat or comments, either way, what you are enjoying tonight. Tonight, I am dealing with water. I had tea this morning. I did treat myself to my favorite tea blend this morning. I've been drinking some Highland Dawn, but this morning I had Serene Sunrise. So what I want to do is say hello. And because it's my birthday, we're going to do something a little bit different, a little bit unusual. And I do want to also remind you, next week we will be doing the question and answer a week early. And then after that, I'm hoping to be able to do part 2, but we will see. Everything is an ongoing question mark right this second. Okay. So I didn't want to come on during this blend or during this stream and just do highlight a blend like I usually do. I wanted to do something different. I thought I would take a journey through some of my favorite teas and different things like that. So I thought about doing a birthday flight. A lot of times when we go to events, we have a flight of teas that we can offer people. We typically have 5 or 6 different teas that everybody can try. And what ends up happening is we start with the lightest, which is typically something like an Emerald Garden, where it's a very light green tea, doesn't have the strongest flavor. Like, you always kind of start with the lightest and then blend and add flavors on so that your tongue doesn't get confused. So we'll start with like an Emerald Garden and end with like a ruby chai or an onyx chai, which is very full of robust flavor. And so we kind of put that up. So hello, Diane, Velvet Spring Hot. That's awesome. I'm glad you're having that. It's a little too warm here in Georgia right now for me to do that. No hot tea this afternoon. Again, I'm drinking water. So I thought, a flight of teas is a great way. I know people think about it for wines or beers or different things, but you can do a flight of teas and you can really concentrate on green teas or white teas or oolongs or black teas, herbals, caffeine-free blends, whatever you want. It's a great way to try just a little bit of each one. Now, it's typically not a full teacup like this. It's typically, you're getting at maybe an ounce, a half ounce to an ounce, typically an ounce of the tea in a very small tasting cup. And when I get back to Kansas, I can show you some tasting cups and what they look like. But they're about this big and they're round. And typically they are just no handles on them. They're very Asian in nature for the teacups. And it's just enough to smell, to swirl, to taste, and again, because it's a tea tasting, the idea behind it is a tea flight or a tea tasting. So that's kind of what we're doing today. If you have questions, please put them in the chat or comments, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to call the first one is the nostalgic steep, and this is going to be kind of the past. The first tea is therefore going to be a breakfast blend for me. I chose this tea because typically growing up in New England, English breakfast, it was as close to the black tea that I would drink, that is a very New England tea, tasting tea to both my husband and myself. there's a definite flavor, and Highland Dawn is the one that comes the closest. That's when we're at the events. Rich will actually say, "This is the tea of my childhood." Like when I thought of a cup of tea, this is the flavor. And this is very much the flavor that is similar to what the tea is that my grandparents that immigrated from Great Britain to here would also drink. So that was kind of the standard for me. That's what I judged all teas by. So when we would go into a tea room or I would try a new kind of tea, I would often do that. But if I wanted to know the quality, my first cup was typically going to be an English breakfast because that gave me a good idea. How strong do they make their teas? You know, it gave me a really good insight into the tea shop. Now, as I've said before, my son would always do like a vanilla jasmine or a jasmine green tea. And so that became his standard. But I love the nostalgia of the breakfast blend or the Highland Dawn. That is kind of the original. That's my original favorite, what I would have all the time. A lot of people think breakfast teas mean bitter. Again, keep your water at a rolling boil, only steep it for 3 minutes. It's when you overbrew that you typically will start to get that bitterness from the tannic acid build up. But if you time your steep, a lot of times what you'll get is just the bold, reliable flavor without the pucker or the bitterness. So I'm going to ask a question of you. Highland Dawn is one of your favorites. I love that. I love that, Diane. Yeah, it's a great tea blend. It's just a great tea blend. If you were throwing a tea party right now, what is the one snack you would either want to be there or what's the one snack you would bring? Let me know in the chat or comments what you want to be there. I will tell you, I would want scones with the jam, but definitely clotted cream. A true clotted cream, not just a whipped cream like a lot of people will serve in the US, but a true Devonshire double clotted cream, incredible flavor. So that's what I would pick. Please put in the chat or comments what you would really want to have at that tea party. All right, and while we're doing that, I'm going to get to my second tea that I'm going to talk about tonight, and this is kind of be like the present. So this is my daily driver, so to speak. This is what my current favorite is, and that's Serene Sunrise. That is what I drank today to celebrate my birthday. That is what I really enjoyed. The cinnamon in that breakfast blend, that English breakfast blend, is just enough to smooth out the bold flavor without really being over the top cinnamon tea. I wanted to put this on discount today, but like since I'm not there to ship out any of the tea, watch in June for me to have a one-day special on Serene Sunrise. I will add that to my to-do list for June, but I wanted to kind of say I wanted to have a special and have it be like deeply discounted, but we'll have to do that in a day in June because right now life is still really, really crazy. And so that's just not going to be possible. So Diane would want vanilla crisp cookies. I love that. And then I also saw, I'm not going to say that name online. I also saw in one of the comments that somebody would want little brownie bites. I don't blame you on the brownie bites. Those are a perfect way to have with them. Another good one is always like the shortbread cookies or a lemon pound cake. Those are all yummy to have with your tea. So there you go. All right, so now we're going to move to kind of like the future. And it's not really futuristic, but I will tell you, in the future, my son gave me a few months ago some tea seeds to plant my own Camellia sinensis plants. And so I have to nurture those, and then eventually it'll take a couple of years, and there will be a harvest of those tea leaves in which I can actually oxidize them myself, and it'll be a completely homemade tea blend with tea that I grew myself. So it's kind of a future preview, but while I was doing what I've been doing, looking at everything, and yes, everybody, I did address the fact that I'm dealing with a lot of things that are not as clean and dusty, so I had gloves on and I totally took one off, but This is the first flush festival for the Charleston Tea Factory. This was 1.6 ounces, and I know it's in a glass jar. But did you hear that? Could you hear that? Oh my gosh, it's still pretty potent. It's not as potent. This is a few years old, but this was kept in the back of a cabinet, is extremely well sealed. So although it is in a glass container, you can hear every time I try and open it, but sorry everybody, I don't have all my lighting and everything here, but there is, if I can do it like this. There you go. There is the first flush from that festival we went to. And I talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, this was kept in a cabinet way in the back, so it stayed dark all the time. And it is still in pretty decent condition. I know Kim always likes to keep her teas for a good period of time too. But it still smells good, and there's this much left. So I thought this would be fun both to show you that if it's properly stored, although it's not as potent as it was before, it's still drinkable. It still smells delicious. It is not as strong as it, although I get a good whiff, it's not as strong as it was when we first got it, but it is still drinkable. And I thought that would be a fun way to tell you that eventually, a couple of years from now, I will have some very limited batches because I don't have tons of room, but very limited batch, maybe an ounce or two. It might have to sell it by the half ounce, and there might only be 10 ounces total. But I am working up to having my own tea and doing it myself. So there you go, oxidizing it myself. All right, there you go. So that is number 3. We're going to kind of talk about our future. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is we've moved away from the very luxurious, special first flush. I wanted to talk about, that made me think of the spring, right? And in the spring, one of my favorite teas to drink is actually Harmony, which is our spring blend. And that is because I really love the lightness of the green tea and then the strawberries. I love strawberry season. Strawberry season when we lived here in Georgia. I don't even know what state I'm in anymore. When we lived in Georgia, that's the strawberries would be coming in from Florida, where most of the strawberries are grown, and they would be incredible, huge, juicy, delicious strawberries. So I always think of that. And then being here in the spring, a little after strawberry season, or at the peak of strawberry season. But it's just really nice. And so Harmony with that, the orange zest to fill in and everything like that. I just really love that. And so I thought that would be kind of a seasonal thing. I wanted to kind of pick a seasonal tea in there. Now I do love other seasonal teas, but that is my favorite seasonal green tea blend. And I couldn't have it be all about the black teas because green teas are delicious as well. Thank you for the happy birthday, Dominique. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. Okay, there we go. And so I wanted to kind of go through, and I apologize again for being late. It is just, there's a lot going on here right now. A lot going on before tomorrow. So I did want to say thank you all for joining me on my birthday and making it special by being here with me and listening to me talk about kind of like past, present, and future teas and my favorites and different things like that. I also wanted to say how much I appreciate you all joining me every week, and especially as we transition into the Sunday to Mondays and just being live on the Mondays now. I'm glad you like Harmony. I love Harmony too, Diane. It's just a nice light tea blend. I still think back to when we made the Harmony with ice cream last year and how good that was. And then how much my handy dandy assistant stole of it. So I really only got a few bites of the ice cream and then he kind of ate the rest, but he loves ice cream. So I do want to remind everybody we're going to have delays on shipping. Originally, I thought it was going to be till May 15th. I'm probably not going to be able to ship anything out until probably the end of May. Things are kind of going a little bit slower here than we originally intended. But that's what happens sometimes when life throws you curveballs. But I do want to say thanks for joining me on my birthday. And thanks for Thanks for being part of our tea family. I want you to go ahead and stay hydrated and enjoy your tea tomorrow. You'll have to let me know what it is tomorrow. And I will see you all next week. Again, we are going to do our Q&A next Monday. So if you have questions, and my son even asked a question, which was kind of interesting, and it has to do with teapots. And it has to do specifically with cast iron teapots. So that one will be definitely one of those that I will answer next week. But if anybody else has any other questions, feel free to let me know and I will answer them live next week. Other than that, I'm going to say thanks for joining me and I hope you all have a wonderful week. All right, we'll see you later, everybody.